Hello again, whiskey friends. Thanks for joining me for another review, everybody. And hey, if you learned something, why not come back later? Come on, see how we do things around here. Give us a shot. So, on today's review, I am so excited. I got real lucky in Northern Kentucky and I got to pick myself up a Jack Daniels 12 year. Oh my gosh. I was so excited about this. It did cost me all of my points at this particular store. This is one of the stores in Northern Kentucky that gives you a point per dollar. Man, luckily I had just enough and I cashed them all in for a Jack Daniels 12 year. Heck yeah. This was on one of my, if not my top bottle that I wanted this year. The Michter's 10, though, man, that 2023 Michter's 10 kind of haunts my dreams, but look out for Darrell's review on that one. But we're going to go into the Jack Daniels 12 year, and we'll talk about this and break this one down a bit more. Thank you for joining me today, whiskey friends. Let's kick off the show. Hmm. Now, as we get into this one, I poured this about a half hour ago and I let this sit out for a half hour. I do recommend that this is one that you let sit. Just let that oak, unwind itself a little bit. It's a little tight on the neck pour if you do it right away. But yeah, we got the Jack Daniels 12 year. Woohoo! This is 107 proof. This is batch one since I got this so early. Gosh, it's good to be unlucky sometimes. 107 proof, 12 years old, and this ran me $89.99, which I do believe is retail. Now, as stated, it was in one of those point systems, so kind of a right to buy if you had enough. I haven't bought anything from the store in quite some time. I was actually afraid my points were going to start expiring, so I was pretty happy to just cash it in, get the Jack Daniels 12 year. Man, I had a big old smile on my face. Whew, I needed some good luck that weekend too. I'll tell you what. Universe has a tendency to come full circle sometimes and give you a break. And this is a good break indeed. So we are going to get into the Jack Daniels 12 year, going to break down the nose, the palate, go through the flavors that are getting, and then at the end, we'll pull up the official scores that we do record for every review on this channel. Well, thank you for joining me, whiskey friends. Cheers. Let's get into the nose. Oh, man. I love the oak that comes through on this Jack Daniels 12 year. It is so night and day better than the 10 year, and I like the 10 year quite a bit too. But this just brings it a whole nother level. I'll be honest with you, I think it comes across too as something much older than 12 years. If I were blind, I'd be guessing 14 years, 15 years. In terms of a comparison, if you've had the Sam Houston 14 or the Sam Houston 15 even, like, it almost comes across as a Barton product in a lot of ways. We'll get to the flavor notes in just a minute, but just kind of giving you kind of a grounding there. If you have had the Sam Houston before, when I say it comes across as older, it's like that old. It almost comes across as something that would be 14, 15 years old. But the oak on it, it is so dark and velvety, chocolatey, and it's got a little bit of that furniture varnish on it as well, which once again, I usually don't get on 12 years. It usually takes something 14, 15 years to give me that note. So that's probably why I get those shades again. Flavor wise, and this is going to be pretty consistent as we go through the tasting as well. It is just banana Fosters. That's it. It's the vanilla ice cream, it's the bananas, it's the caramel sauce. It is rich and decadent. They made it right there at the table, lit it on fire for you, all those type of things. But that's really it. I don't want to say that, like, it's kind of a complex flavor note, but it's also not complex, right? Like it is just this singular one thing with the extra oak all over it, but the oak is so good. So that's the nose. Let's get into the taste here. So we're going to go front of the palate, mid palate, into the finish. Hmm. Oh, yeah. Man, that was a really good sip right there. Hmm. Really glad I let this one open up too. I'm telling you, you got to let this one sit for a little bit. It does help it just spread its wings a little bit when you let this one sit. That was definitely not as tight as it was on my last tasting, where I only gave it like 5 to 10 minutes. Half hour might be the right range there. Really glad they went up to 107 proof on this. I think that's was a fabulous decision compared to the 10-year. I think it's the perfect proof point for what this thing is doing. It just gives it this rich, oily mouthfeel. Oh, and I like kind of showing that if I can, how oily it is. Once I upgrade cameras, it'll be a little easier. Yeah, look at that. Look how oily that is. Man. And you can just feel that. I mean, that is what you're feeling when I say the mouthfeel really stands out. Uh, Front of the palate, I'm just going to be like a broken record here, but it was mostly that oak does shine through immediately. Does come across as kind of this lovely chocolate with a little bit of espresso, and then you get kind of that vanilla cream. So almost a espresso with bourbon cream in it is almost what I equate it to. Not that I'm calling this a bourbon for all you traditionalists out there. Just saying the flavor notes bourbon cream. Not like poking a bear. All right, let's go in for another taste. Hmm, man, trying really, really hard to find some more flavors on this, especially now that I let it sit out, just to see if that changes anything from my original notes. But mid palate, amazing oak, shines through again, and then it is a banana Foster's. That is the flavor. Little chocolate sauce on it as well. It is a banana Foster's through and through. That's what it tastes like throughout the entire experience. It is just that thing. So I don't have a lot of other notes to throw at you. Let's get into the finish. Hmm. In the finish again, oak shines through so lovely. The banana Foster's comes through yet again. I'll tell you what though, I know that I'm like trying to dig. I'm starting to get a little apple on the finish, and I that was not in my notes, but that's coming through. Um, on the tail end of the finish, the creaminess, like the ice cream of that banana Foster's, even like a custard, is what really lingers with that vanilla. And the espresso does start coming through as well throughout the finish. The thing that I equate it to is when you go to a fancy steak restaurant and you get the banana Foster's at the end of the meal and you get a coffee to go with it to end that meal. That's it. Those are the flavors. It's that experience on the finish. Oh, with that extra oak though. Man, I swear this thing's older than 12 years. All right, I'm gonna go for one more sip, see if I find anything else to say. No, I think that pretty much does it. So you can kind of tell where this is probably leading a little bit. Let's pull up the scores. So here on the channel, we do have a scoring system. There's a whole bunch of metrics that go into what you see on the screen right now, but ultimately it can be summarized into three categories: a flavor score, an experience score, and a value score. For the flavor score, which represents 40%, that's just how delicious it is on the nose, front of the palate, mid palate, the finish, all about how delicious those flavors are. The experience score is more the technical score. The mouthfeel is a part of that, but also the complexity of the flavors, which you've heard me poke at a few times, and I'll kind of continue to poke at it. This thing is not a complex thing. This thing is very singular in its focus, and that did cost it some points compared to other bottles when it comes to the complexity. Still delicious, but it cost it some points. And then value. $89.99, 12-year age statement. Man, that's a good value these days. You kidding me? Gosh darn, we're getting closer and closer to what? 10, 12, $12 for a year on most bottles these days. I mean, 12 years, you almost expect to pay $120. So Jack, please keep the price where it is. And thank you for upping the proof there as well. Reward you with all the points when it comes to value. So the total ends up at an 82 out of 100, which is a great pour in our scoring system. Ranks up there. I mean, it's in the top 6, top 8, maybe top 10, something right around there right now when it comes to all of the different bottles that we have reviewed thus far in 2023. We'll see if it can hold in that. I'll have to keep some of this aside for our end of year blinds, but no, man, I really enjoy this one quite a bit, as you can see. Thus, the 10 out of 10 recommendation on this bottle. I really want people to try this. I just love that Jack Daniel's has just been stretching their wings with the 10-year age statement, with the 12-year now, with the barrel proof stuff. I mean, keep that coming. You guys are delivering. You're sitting on so much good whiskey, and people just equate it to Jack and Cokes and the 80 proof bottle. That is not what Jack Daniel's is. I think we've been trumpeting it pretty hard the last couple of years, but hey, keep shining through like this and keep inspiring the other older distilleries to experiment and up that age as well. I can't wait till Makers does the same thing. Love to do a comparison of Jack Daniel's versus Makers 12-year. That'd be fabulous. So do I plan to buy another? Yes, if I'm so lucky. I mean, obviously, if there was one at the same score, I wouldn't have the points to buy it anymore, nor will I have the points for very, very many months to get that many points back. So that was essentially like 6 months worth of points that I cashed in on this particular bottle. Worth it. So glad I have it. This was one of the top bottles that I wanted this year. Now I get to enjoy it the rest of the year. So can't wait to share this one out with some people and let them see what Jack Daniel's can taste like at a nice proof with a 12-year age statement. Though I swear some of these barrels have to be older than 12 years. I swear it. Oh, man. So good. Going back to that note, just a final thought here, but when this Jack Daniel's gets to this high age, it reminds me more and more of the similarities of a Barton product. It really does start kind of conflating those lines with the different flavors that I get on it. It would be interesting to get this one blind and to have to debate if it was Jack Daniel's or if it was Barton, because if you're getting a banana note blind, it was typically only Barton before, and now Jack has entered the realm just to complicate things even further. But once again, yeah, if you had a Sam Houston 14, Sam Houston 15, when they're starting to up the proof a little bit too, that's right around some of the notes that I'm getting from this. It's probably the closest thing I can equate it to. And those things are, what, $130, $150? Thank you, Jack. $89 out the door. Well, thank you for joining me today, whiskey friends, for another whiskey review. Be sure to come back for more. We keep churning these reviews out more and more as the year goes on. And you'll get to see if this Jack Daniel's 10 ultimately ends up in our top 10. We'll see. 82 is a pretty good score, but not unbeatable. Well, I'll catch you on the next one. Goodbye, whiskey friends.
Jeff, just be friends with me. But you have these whiskey friends, and you say hello again. Oh, Jeffrey, you should just be friends with me. But you have these whiskey friends, and you say hello again. Oh, Jeffrey, you should just be friends with me. But you have these whiskey friends, and you